National Movement for a Just Society requests for a special court to be set up to look into large-scale fraud on the first death anniversary of Venerable Maduluave Sobithatero. Former MP Tiran Alas released from remand custody based on an order issued by the Court of Appeal. Special task force raids an illegal sand mining racket said to be carried out by local government politician. Polls open in US presidential election.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to our Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Aishwarya Pinto. Let's start off with a look at your stories in detail. Today marks 1 year since the demise of Venerable Maduluave Sobithatero, the founder of the National Movement for a Just Society.
A memorial was held in remembrance of Venerable Maduluave Sobithatero at the Foundation Institute in Colombo with the participation of President Maithripala Sirisena, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and other political leaders. A minute of silence was observed in remembrance of the late Thero. The official presidents began following religious observances. The government should ensure that the judicial system in the country is reformed so that it too follows the concepts of good governance. The government should not waste any more time in doing this. We have been calling on the government to establish a special court to consider cases pertaining to fraud and corruption. As we mark 1 year since the demise of Venerable Sobithatero, we once again call on the President and Prime Minister to establish a special court system as a sign of respect for him. This does not require foreign investments or a two-thirds majority in Parliament. On behalf of all the law-abiding citizens of this country, we call on the authorities to establish the first special court on the 8th of January 2016. There were a number of proposals made during Professor Sarath Vijayasuriya's lecture. I will discuss these with the Prime Minister and will look into how we can implement these recommendations. We will also look into what obstacles these recommendations could face when being implemented. With regard to a special court being implemented, we have also engaged in discussions for several months. In such a complicated backdrop, I believe that actions like this should be taken in consultation with everyone so that we can resolve the problems that could crop up. This memorial has turned into an event where the President and I are being questioned on what we have done. First of all, the President suggested that the 19th Amendment be repealed. Everyone agreed on establishing an independent commission, but we had different opinions on who should be the members of these commissions. Now we have to establish a new constitution.
Welcome back. Former parliamentarian Tiran Alas, who was in remand custody, was released further to an order issued by the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal issued an order staying the order made to the remand of the former MP Tiran Alas. The order was issued after considering the revision application filed on behalf of Tiran Alas in the Court of Appeal. President's counsel Ramesh De Silva, appearing on behalf of former MP Tiran Alas, pointed out that the accusations levelled against his client do not come under the Public Property Act. He said that this application could be brought within the Bail Act. The President's counsel went on to note that the High Court did not consider the health situation of Tiran Alas, although clear reports were produced. He also mentioned that the prosecution did not object to bail being granted and added that the fundamental rights application filed before the Supreme Court had not been considered. Considering all the facts, the Court of Appeal issued an order to stay the order made by the High Court to remand the former MP. He was then released this evening. MP Tiran Alas was also ordered to appear before the High Court next Thursday.
They put me in jail under false accusations. Some people like to watch us being handcuffed and taken into jail. Some are happy, but I don't think they can be happy for long. I thought it was wrong to remand me, and the court proved it right.
The government states that attempts made by a certain group to create a tense situation opposite the presidential secretariat today, in a backdrop where steps have been taken to ensure that disabled war heroes receive their due pensions, is a conspiracy aimed at putting the government in a difficult situation. Issuing a media release, the Presidential Secretariat notes that it was apparent as to who was directing the innocent war veterans. The release notes that it is clear these actions were part of a conspiracy by an anti-government group to discredit the government and create a rift between the government and the war veterans. In a backdrop where a special cabinet paper was submitted by the President and directed to the Ministry of Defence after obtaining the approval of the Treasury, the government reaffirms that acts of this nature were prompted by political organisations that stand against the government. government. The release by the Presidential Secretariat also notes that this incident took place when the Defence Secretary and members of the Presidential Secretariat were engaging in discussions with a group of representatives of the disabled war veterans.
Former Mayor of Kaduwala G.H. Buddhadasa convened a media briefing today.
The problems faced by the disabled war veterans are not issues that came up recently. This is a problem which came up during the period of Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2007. This is being done on the whims and fancies of Vimal Veeravansa. Bengamu Nalakathero and Vimal Veeravansa are the ones who are conducting this. Even the war heroes are being directed by them. This is a conspiracy launched by Vimal Veeravansa.
Further details regarding perpetual treasuries, which has been linked to the controversial bond issuance, continues to emerge.
Over the past few weeks, there were numerous media reports which highlighted that Perpetual Treasuries, the primary dealer linked to the controversial bond issuance, had been buying up shares of banks and other financial institutions under their name as well as through other companies. The media reports highlighted two key names, that of Perpetual Treasuries and Perpetual Equities. The link between Arjun Aloysius, the son-in-law of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, and the companies mentioned above have been revealed. Arjun Aloysius, the son-in-law of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, served as a director of Perpetual Equities until the 16th of January 2015. Incidentally, on the same day, Arjun resigned from his post on the board of directors of Perpetual Treasuries. Yet another name mentioned on the board of directors of both Perpetual Treasuries and Perpetual Equities is that of Jeffrey Joseph Aloysius, the father of Arjun Aloysius. Jeffrey Aloysius is also listed as the chairman of Perpetual Treasuries according to their corporate website. Arjun Aloysius resigned from the board of directors of Perpetual Equities in 2015 and rejoined a few months ago in September this year. Incidentally, both Perpetual Equities and Perpetual Treasuries are listed under the same address.
Governor of the Central Bank, for your attention.
Convening a media briefing, the joint opposition revealed more details about the controversial Treasury bond scam.
Perpetual Treasuries
Perpetual Treasuries Limited emptied the central bank. What are they doing with the large sum of money they earned? They are now trying to solidify their power in strategic economic positions. They have invested nearly $2 billion in the National Development Bank. From what we have heard, they have already transferred a large sum of money to Singapore. They are also in the process of purchasing lands in Colombo. What will happen if the government cannot recover this money? So in order to avoid that from taking place, we have to take immediate action against this. What we recommend is that the bank accounts of the Perpetual Treasuries Limited should be frozen immediately, or at least their license should be cancelled temporarily. That is something any country would do. If this happened in some other country, the Prime Minister would resign even on a temporary basis. What we think is that we should report the current situation in the country and all the facts in connection to this to the Monetary Authority of Singapore.
අපි යවන්න ඕනේ කියලා සිංගප්පූරුවේ මූල්‍ය අධිකාරියට විශාල ප්‍රමාණයේ ප්‍රවෘත්ති පත්‍ර ආයතනයක් සහ
Everyone involved with media knows that they have made preparations to invest money on a newspaper and a television company. They have not restricted themselves to banks. So far from what we have heard, they have started recruiting people to work in these companies.
පුද්ගලයන් බඳවා ගැනීමේ කටයුතු වල නිරත වෙමින් ඉන්නවා කියන තමයි අපිට තියෙන ආරංචි. ඒ කියන්නේ දේශපාලන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවලට අවතීර්ණ වීම.
They are using this money for political activities. So maybe that is why these people have received the blessings of the government. Because all this is very beneficial to politics. So under these circumstances, we cannot trust the government. What needs to be done before anything is to take this subject away from the Prime Minister. The President has all the powers to do that.
ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් කළ යුතුයි. ඒක කරන්න ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පූර්ණ බලතල තියෙනවා.
A group of members of the Anti-Corruption Front arrived at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption to inquire about the progress made on the Treasury bond issue.
We have received information about these investigations. This information should be revealed and the matter should be rectified. We need to punish the individuals who engage in this fraudulent activity. Laws should be enacted. And also the government should work on recovering the money and the resources this country has lost.
Let's now take a look at Action TV.
Action TV highlighted last Sunday how the Foreign Employment Bureau was engaged in a financial fraud by granting a special job order to a certain agency which enabled the said agency to charge a fee from workers who are called for employment overseas directly through family and friends, bypassing local employment agencies. It was revealed that close to 70% of the Foreign Employment Bureau's annual revenue of 2 billion rupees was being directed to this agency through this move. It was alleged that a large part of the income received by this agency, which did not provide any particular service, was being distributed between certain executives of the Foreign Employment Bureau, including members of its senior management. The contents of this letter give rise to a certain degree of suspicion on this matter. The letter in question, which has been addressed to the Secretary to the Foreign Employment Bureau by the proprietor of the agency in question last October, refers to a payment to be received by the agency, which was approximately 70% of the 2 billion rupee revenue collected by the Bureau for the year. The proprietor has confirmed that he has provided an on-demand bank guarantee for 10 million rupees as security for the services to be provided by his agency. It must be noted that the Bureau does not have the mandate to request any party to provide a bank guarantee in excess of 750,000 rupees. Action TV highlighted recently how the chairman of the Bureau had issued a circular in secret in March this year that allowed the Bureau to request a bank guarantee over the said limit of 750,000 rupees. It must be revealed that when persons secure employment outside of the established procedure and then approach the Bureau to register themselves with the Bureau, they are directed to this agency. This letter issued by the general manager of the Bureau to a private bank bears testament to the act that this agency had been provided with a contract to register these persons as per a special order. This order was subsequently withdrawn in September on the instructions of the acting chairman of the Bureau. It must be noted that the letter in question from the proprietor of the agency to the Secretary to the Ministry of Employment refers to an alleged unlawful payment that was requested by Director of the Bureau. More details will be revealed on this matter by Action TV.
In more local news, questions were raised about the new party when former Minister Janaka Bandara Thennakoon arrived at the Kandy High Court to sign for bail in a case filed against him.
Things will take place when it is needed. We are SLFPers. We will safeguard the SLFP in the future as well.
Sri Lanka Nidahas Paksha kiyanne ape
The SLFP is our life. However, the SLFP is one of the stakeholders of injustice that my father is facing. However, we know that certain SLFP supporters are glad when we come under attack from the good governance government. A new party will impact the growth of the SLFP. The leaders of the SLFP need to understand this.
Nidahas Pakshayat Sri Lanka Nidahas Paksha නායකත්වයත් තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ.
The police special task force states that they have uncovered details of a sand mining racket orchestrated by a former deputy chairman of the Homagama Pradeshiya Sabha, Indika Koralage. The police STF made this revelation following a raid conducted earlier today.
7 racketeers were arrested in the raid conducted by the police special task force at the Valavillawa junction in Aturugiriya. The police also took into custody 7 trucks, 100 cubic meters of sand, 3 excavators and a loader. The racketeers are believed to have engaged in mining sea sand, purifying it and selling it. According to the police STF, they had failed to obtain the necessary permits in this regard from the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau. The arrested suspects have been handed over to the Aturugiriya police for further investigations.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Indika Koralage mahatmayada hitapu upasabapatuma කතා කරන්නේ සිරස නිවුස් එකෙන්.
Oh.
We are calling from Sirasa News. We received reports that a business of yours was raided by the police STF.
STF එක වැටලීමක් කළා කියලා.
It is not mine.
නමුත්
But the STF says that this business is connected to you, that it was being carried out without a permit.
කියලා.
Well, it is not mine because I am in Colombo.
නමුත්
But the permit of the Central Environmental Authority is under your name.
So if that is the case, there is a permit, isn't there?
නමුත් ඔබතුමාට භූවි
But you don't have a permit from the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau.
ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ
Well, you are the one who is saying that. I am a bit busy. First look at the legality of this. I am in the middle of something.
නෑ ඔබතුමා
But it appears that you have misused your political power.
In cricket news, skipper Rangana Herath picked up 5 Zimbabwean scalps to restrict the host to 272 in their first innings of the second test. Despite dismissing the host before avoiding a follow-on, Sri Lanka opted to bat the second innings. At stumps on day 3, Sri Lanka were 102 for 4, Dimuth Karunaratne and Asela Gunaratne at the crease.
And that's a wrap of your primetime news. I'm Aishwarya Pinto.
And I'm Shen Silva. Take care and good night.